Happy Maryland Day for anyone that's in my state. And we're going to give it a couple of minutes as folks kind of grab their lunches, move from one meeting to another, get comfy, all of that good stuff. But if you are feeling interactive and chatty, which I hope all of you are, because that's kind of the name of the game, go ahead and drop in the chat, 3 emojis that describe your Q1, because I don't know if you realized that, but as I was putting this together, I was like, oh my goodness, March is almost over. The first quarter is almost done. Where has 2026 go? I feel like I'm still writing 2025 when I'm putting dates in certain places. So these are some good ones, or not so good, but I feel your pain. And Brenna, you are still a Marylander, even if you are in Boston. Yeah, I was telling Craig right before everybody else joined, there was a good amount of folks that RSVP'd. So I want to give it a little bit of time for them to come in, and then we will get started. But I also want to give as much time as possible to all of you to kind of share ideas and hopefully get some help. So this is the first time I've done an event like this. And hopefully it's successful, and we want to do more of these, or if not, we're in it together. But yeah, there will be a recording for anyone that actually I can just go to the next slide because it says it. There will be a recording for anyone that can't stay or having technical issues, or if you don't want to be a part of the recording but you still want to see it later, that will be posted to our YouTube channel at some point, maybe later today, if not, tomorrow by end of week. And it will also be available on the event page. So it's not like you have to go navigate and try to dig it up anywhere or anything like that. Which I just saw that Kurt is having some sound issues. So I'm going to give him some instructions on some things to try. I was about to say it, and then I was like, wait, you can't hear me. But for anyone that I have not met yet, hello, I am Monique Evans, and I reside in Baltimore. So I'm making up the M of the DMV, which is not Department of Motor Vehicles. It is DC, Maryland, Virginia. And I know for the folks that actually live in the DMV, that means something different. It's more the DC metropolitan area. But for all intents and purposes, we are including all of Maryland, all of Virginia, and of course, all of DC. And I currently do not have a co-leader. So if you live in one of those 3 states and you are a Workfront customer and love to kind of just talk to people and have events like this, send an email to Julie Wilson, who is in the chat as well, letting her know that you're interested. We are taking applicants. I would love to have a buddy to kind of co-partner with some things. But until then, it's me and you all, and we will keep rocking and rolling. So there are not a lot of slides. I think this is actually my last slide. This event is a little bit different. There is no like guest speaker with a bunch of slides. That's kind of something that we did 2 weeks ago with the Boston group. This is more of a community problem solving jam. And one of the things that I loved when I was like a newer Workfront user was being able to collaborate with people and ask questions and kind of throw spaghetti at the wall. I don't know if a lot of you know my story, but I am like an admin of one. I've never worked with a team, I think, for like maybe a couple of months. In my whole journey, I've had some folks that were also really passionate and working together with me, but I've always considered the community and other Workfront users my team. So this is an opportunity for any of you, and I know there was like 5 or 6 people that RSVP'd saying that they had some challenges that they wanted to kind of share and crowdsource, but this is that time. So you do not have to have pre-submitted slides. You don't have to share your screen if that's something you're not comfortable with. I do have an instance of Workfront that I can open and kind of be your Vanna White, but this is fully what we make it. So hopefully, you've drank some water, you are well lubricated, your thinking caps are on, and you're ready to kind of share. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to, on the side, pull up my Excel and see if any of the folks that RSVP'd saying that they wanted to share something are available and want to share. And I see Rotas in the chat. And I know you RSVP'd yes. So if you want to go first, not to be the guinea pig, the floor is yours. If not, I can always call on somebody else. Oh no. So for anyone that's having mic and video issues, I know that happened to me once. So if you are using Chrome, there is a kind of camera button next to the URL that shows it might have an X on it. If you click on that, you should be able to go into your camera settings and turn on your microphone and camera. Thank you, Raymond. So some folks have had more luck using Chrome instead of Edge. I know some other folks are using like Firefly or Safari. So it might be your browser, but just make sure that you're able to give your browser permission to use camera and microphone. But while Roatesh is trying to sort that out, let me see who else is here that also RSVP'd. So, or if someone is just ready, raring to go to share something, take the floor. So, Brenna, I see that you are on. Are you ready and willing to share? And are you able to come off of mute?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. I won't share my video because I'm in the hotel room with my husband, so he's watching TV. So
No worries.
yeah. So I have when I was on the last time with you, you had a wonderful wealth of reports and things that you can pull. You had like a huge deep. So there was 2 reports that I wanted to pull, but I just realized I don't think we have those. One of them, we don't have the, how you say, the, when you do your intake form and you have fields to fill out. Well, there's a
Your custom
field,
forms?
custom forms. We don't have the field in that custom form to pull a certain thing that one of our upper management wants. But I do need to know how to pull all the assets. Like if somebody said, what assets did you create in 2025 for the whole year? And somebody showed me a quick demo of pulling that report, but I cannot remember. Can you show me a report to pull assets? And then also what types of assets? If I want to say social media or like Instagram assets or web page assets, if you could show me that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely show that. I'm sure there's some other folks that might have screenshots and things that they'll be able to drop in. So again, this is fully interactive. It's not just, I'm not going to be the only one that's answering everything. So if you have ideas on good ways to kind of do asset reports, drop it in the chat, come off of mute. We can talk over each other. It's okay if this is chaotic.
Thank you.
But one thing I wanted to ask about your custom form, which we can come back to, but I want to kind of put it out there before I forget, is, I would love to hear more about like what field that is that you're looking for. And then also we can kind of just talk through ways to add in fields later, whether it's something that someone fills in on the request side, or they fill it in on the project side, or whatever it is. I know Kirk is somewhere in the chat. Hopefully sound issues are getting better. That I know he has some experience with that as well that we can kind of talk through. But for a asset report, actually, let me just
Hey, Monique, while you're pulling this up, this is
Yeah.
Craig. I'll just add to just keep in mind that if it's something you want to pull out of Workfront, you have to be putting it in. So if you're not using custom forms, that means you don't have custom data. And so the request to pull out those types of assets you mentioned, if you're not classifying them in a particular custom form, you're not going to be able to pull it out. So just think about that. You know, I always tell people to start backwards. What is your end goal and your result? And then you work back to that. So if you're looking to pull out specific data, you need to make sure you're capturing it up front.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, it's one of those where knowing the answer is also going to let you know if you made your report correctly. I can't tell you how many times I've made a report and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a second, that project shouldn't be on there, or that why is that form showing up? And then you kind of use that as your context clues to figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and just go to new report. And a lot of folks may not realize this, but there is a more button here. And then as you go over to the side, you can see that there are dozens of other options. So for assets, Workfront considers those documents. So we're going to go ahead and say add new document. And if I was to run this without any filters whatsoever, it's going to give me a list of every single document that's in the instance. So Brenna, I'm sure there's certain characteristics that you're going to want to add. I know one of the things you said was like this year. So if we say entry date, and then you can set equal to, scroll down, this year. That kind of fills in that text mode for you, so you don't need to know what those wildcards are. And then again, if I was to run this now, it's going to give me every document that has been created in the instance this year. So as you are making reports, I like to read that sentence out loud and say, show me every document that, and then fill in with each of these kind of constants, because that helps me kind of just remember, like, what am I looking for? Is that narrowed down enough? So maybe you want it only on completed projects. And then I'm going to say project status here equals complete. So now it's going to show me here's every document that was added and the project is completed.
Very good.
And you can kind of go further from there. This is a test instance. I don't think there's anything in here if I run it, so it's probably going to be blank. Yeah. But just know that that's kind of how you would go about putting your document report together. And then of course, if there's certain things, I think you mentioned like e-com or social or things like that, just knowing where those classifications live. Is it on your project custom form? Is it on a custom form on the document? Is it in the document name? Things like that. That's going to help you figure out what those other filters are going to be. And you had also mentioned your file type. So you can come here and say file type equals, actually, nope, that's not the one we want. You can, and see, it's always trial and error. So I would say file name contains, and then I could say dot, PDF or whatever it is that you're. In one of the document reports that I have, there is a checklist that we upload to every project for folks just to remember all of these things need to be there. And that's not something that we want to report on because, again, it's the same file name on every project and it's kind of just there as like a reference. So I've actually said, does not equal, and then put in that file name. But in that way, it isn't there.
Cool.
Monique, I would also add that for me in my world, each project represents a deliverable or an asset. So, some clarifying questions would be the person who's asking for this data, what exactly are they looking for? Because so many times they have no idea what they're asking. They don't know what they're looking for. They're looking to you to pull the data. And so for me, if someone came to me and said, how many presentations did we do last quarter? I would go and pull a project level report where then I have a drop down of project type. And so I would do project type is equal to presentation and completion date, project completion date is last quarter, something like that. So I think it's important to just ask those clarifying questions before you run down a rabbit hole, because a lot of times you're going to give them exactly what they want or what they ask for, and it's wrong because they don't know what they're asking for.
That's a good point. Very good. Well, thank you so much. And then also too, when you were saying, Craig, as well, which is so spot on, is if you don't put it in the form or if you don't put it in there, you can't pull it. For one of the items that this our director wants to see what her team is on. Well, they're not listed in the requesting. You know what I'm saying? They're just part of the team that's in a project. And she says, I want to know what these 3 folks are. And sometimes they do writing. So I list them as copywriters. Sometimes they're the business lead because, they're supplying some other documentation. They're listed in the project, but they're not in the custom field. So
I mean, there's ways to pull, I think, what is it? Oh boy, it's been a while since I did that. At a project level, you can pull all the people that are associated with a particular project, but if you're looking for them to be assigned as a particular role or something like that, again, if it's not in Workfront, it doesn't exist. So they have to put it in there in a way that you're going to be able to pull it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and while Craig was kind of talking through that, I just went ahead and made a quick project report just to show you. So what he's referring to is like this project users. So in any project, which again is a test instance, I don't really have any projects, so we're making this on the fly. But in any project, if you let's make a project, here we go. If you go over to this people tab, again, it's going to be empty except for me, but this will list anyone that has had an assignment in the project. So you can also just add additional people to a project, even though they might not be assigned something. So I'm just going to use Greg as even though I didn't even pick the right Craig, but you can add someone else there and then they would be listed here. And anyone that is listed in this project under people will show up as a project user in your report. That also means that they will show up if they are using any of the projects I'm on reports, because that's where that finds it. So if you've ever wondered where projects I'm on comes from, it's that people area in a project. So anyone who's listed here is on the project, whether they have an assignment or not. Your owner is always going to be listed, which is why I'm here. Your sponsor is always going to be listed. If I had one, they would have showed up automatically. Anyone that has an assignment is listed, but you can always add or remove people as a need be. And then you can report on, project user. I just said name, but maybe they're all in a team. So again, project users, home team, ID, and then I could put like what team they're a part of and then pull it that way. So you might not need a custom field to get that information, but I highly recommend using the API Explorer in Experience League to just see like what all those options are there. It can get a little overwhelming, so just go slow and just see what's there, and just know that you don't have to use everything, but it's just showing you what's possible.
Fantastic. Thank you both, because this is exactly what we need. So thank you. We totally appreciate it.
Of course. I mean, that's the reason for the season. That's why we're here.
Amen. I think Sam has a next question
I
in
did
the
see
chat.
that.
Okay, I'm going to go back on mute.
Don't go too far on mute. You might be able to help Sam.
Okay, sure. I'll be here.
Samantha, you are up.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So I have a project that has a lot of deliverables within it. So I was hoping that we could track the status of the deliverable as opposed to having subtasks like for review, approval, and all those kinds of things. It's like the steps of the deliverable. So I was hoping to put, since it's one project, I could use a board view for it, but I'm not sure how to see the custom statuses within them.
Okay, so you are just trying to understand your full question before we open it up to everyone. So you're trying to see a single project on a board with custom statuses.
Yes. Yeah. So that it can be, we can see the deliverable move from, in review with this team and review with that team. So
Yep.
I added custom statuses for it, but I can't seem to bring that into a board view. And I feel like there's just a setting that I don't know how to use. If anybody has any experience with board view.
Are those statuses on the project level or task level?
Task. They're on tasks. Do they need to be on project?
No. I was just trying to follow you along. It's
Gotcha.
the board shows tasks for the most part.
Okay. Yeah. So they're on tasks.
I think it's really open and in process and complete on boards. I'm not by any means an expert in boards, so I'm just throwing out my little bit of experience there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Monique, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I played around with boards. I have one team that is starting to use boards, so I've been using it a little bit more. But let me see if there's any templates that I can just.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, one thing I liked we've really gotten back to, I'll say some basics, using milestones on your project templates, which will very easily give you kind of the status and the phase that each project is in as it progresses.
Oh, okay. So we haven't really used project templates before, so I haven't started using milestones, because that's how you build it. Like, you build the path within the template itself, and then you create the project from the template.
Ish. Yes, you have your project and you have your template, and then in setup is where you would create your milestone path. Actually, I forgot that I can just share my screen.
Yeah, and for consistency, best practice would be to have a project template, because then they all follow the same process.
Yeah, I'm still feeling out what kind of projects we have, what steps are involved.
Yeah, I would, if you're going to go to milestone view, I always start kind of simple. You're going to go, again, I forgot, I'm kind of showing you guys where I'm at. So under setup, I went to milestone pass, and look at it, there's already some in here, but you can just kind of start very simple, where, see how this one is just like gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, gate 6, right? I think the first time I made a path, it was initial design, revise, deploy, and it was just those 3 stages, right? Of just it's kind of your big stages in a project. Some folks do get more granular, I can't talk today, and use their parent tasks. So for this example, I could have a feasibility, a development, a manufacturing, et cetera, as my milestones. It really just depends, but if you're not sure, you can always just start early or not use them. But then over here in your view, and hopefully there is one that has milestones in it. Nope, we'll just make one real quick. Usually in a view, you'll have at least one that has milestone. If not, you can easily just make a new view and add it. And of course, I put milestone ID instead of milestone. So let me edit that real quick. This is what happens when I talk and type at the same time. And then on your project, you're going to make sure that you have added a milestone path. So if I just go to that one that I mentioned before, which was stage gates. And now I can come here and say that this is gate 1, this is gate 2, etc. This is helpful if you're doing a report and you're showing milestones, because then you'll get like those big boxes of every task that kind of falls between here and here would all be part of gate 1, and it will show that collective progress. But back to your original question of boards, if I click this board view, because we're only looking at one project instead of like multiple projects in a board, you should be able to just click that view that I did. And again, like if you're in your list view, which I know this is a little slow, right here, you should have a board button. Oh, I see, Olia, you have your hand raised. So
yeah, would like to help with boards. I have a little bit of experience with that. And thank you for the great questions. I think there is 2 type of boards available, and Monique nicely demonstrating you the way probably how you approaching things through the project, right? So you have one project, you can click inside of boards and like see this, but you're right, you can be only able to use this predefined statuses that's available on your task, right? So if those statuses, you will not be able to do more. There is standalone functionality of boards. So if you click on the main menu, you will be able to see boards available for you. Yes, and right here, you actually will be able to set up boards, bring the same task that you have in your project, and have those customized statuses, more than those 3, because here you can see you can configure, add new column. I would think this probably would solve your challenge with custom statuses. You will see nice boards, but not like how you probably were trying to approach it from the project.
Okay. So if you are in here, do you like, so if I had like 6 different statuses, how do I see all of them in here?
Yeah, you will be able to customize each column. Those 3 dots that you have on the column, you will be able to click on this 3 dots. So Monique will probably demonstrate for us, right? So in any column, 3 dots on the column. The settings, edit, yes, and here you will be able to see, you see those statuses, update value of status, like moving through the process and set up those different statuses and have like all custom statuses.
So there though, okay, so there you see a custom status down there.
Right.
I'm not seeing that when I do this.
That's in the board. So again, in the standalone functionality, you might not be able to have this robust, like more detailed, but here you will be able, if you click on the board settings. And I see more hands, probably happy to help you.
Yeah, Raymond here. I had question. So you mentioned that you were using custom statuses on tasks, but you're not using templates. So it sounds to me that you have projects that you're creating, workfront projects, but not with templates. So one thought would be, instead of using a basic board, could you use a connected board, like a dynamic board that pulls in the project?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to pull in the custom task statuses that you have on that project.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I need to do, is just so is the connected board like an option?
Yeah. So Monique, if you go back to all boards, because this is a basic board, You go all boards at the top, go add board, and there should be a dynamic board. So cards created and sort of using existing Workfront objects.
Okay.
So you would name this whatever you want to name it. Yeah, demo or however. Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
And then you can connect it to a project.
Okay. So and then I could pick the specific project and then those custom statuses.
I'm not 100% sure, but this is kind of what I'm thinking in terms of if you have, you probably have to test this out to see. If you know how, if you have custom statuses with your tasks, if those pull in here.
Yeah.
Because you're connecting it.
Oh, see, now you have different ones. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hers will probably be probably looks different, but if you try the dynamic board option to the project that has the those custom statuses for your task, you could see if those will appear on that board for you.
Okay, I will try that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all for diving in on that one. Like, as you can see, boards is one where we're all kind of, some of us much more skilled at than others. So I think we all were able to learn something. All right, I see Jen Mancini. I saw you asking a question about workload balancer. Did you get an answer? Do you want to talk about that next?
Yes. And I disappeared from this because my computer decided to do a hard restart. So I apologize. So I got some great feedback. Lindsay, thank you. Thank you, Brittany. I actually tried this a few months ago. We have 10 lines of business and we do have project templates, and the tasks within our project templates vary so greatly depending on the different lines of business. So originally I thought I could do like a hard average because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to update the planned hours in my project templates, but I was just curious, like if anyone else has any additional creative solutions. Lindsay, I will watch what you just put in here as for the recording. I know workload balancer, I just can't get it to work for us. But our creative team is constantly looking to understand availability, so they know how to assign work. So I'm just curious if anyone else has any other solutions or have done some cool things in the system, maybe around workload balancer.
Mostly I'm extending solidarity because I hear the same complaint from my people too.
Okay.
Where they take a look at workload balancer and they're like, I can't make sense of it. The webinar last week from Advisors Excel, I mean, it was a customer success webinar, but the guests who were on there kind of shook my world, where they were like, yeah, we don't look at things on a day-to-day, we look things at a week-to-week. And I was like, oh. And for myself, I've even started doing that. My schedule just, even though I manage my own work very tightly, I just got to the level of looking at things on a day-to-day. I was spending too much time clicking and adjusting. And if I look at it more on a week level basis, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. Things are still a hot mess, but I might start borrowing some of the framework that Lindsay and I can't remember her colleague's name, co-presenter, they mentioned about even adjusting their templates so that things were scheduled by traffic, either on a week level. So, or if it had to be a day level, but traffic very specifically would classify tasks as anybody can pick this up during the week, as long as it's done at some point this week. And then there are fewer things that are like, okay, no, this has a very specific deadline that is assigned to a specific person. The week-wide stuff was more anybody of a certain role could pick it up. Although that's a challenge for us too, because like our creative team, for example, has one copy editor. The rest needs to be farmed out to freelance. But they have so I need to kind of wrap my brain around that a little bit more. I asked them for a part 2 because I wanted to go deeper.
Well, this is awesome, and the chat is on fire. So this is why this community is so great. Like, it's so great. I miss some of these things, so I really appreciate everyone guiding me in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we do. Raymond, I will let you talk in 1 minute, but I also wanted to add we did a WUG with a co-WUG with the Boston group a couple weeks ago, earlier this month, and Ross also presented on how he handles workload balancer. So for anyone that is very interested in learning that, I feel like for anyone who doesn't know Ross Barton, he's a champion. He's also the Ohio WUG leader, and like everything he shared was like, oh, this is gold. So that's definitely something that you can dive into and kind of learn a little bit more. But to go back to your original kind of question issue that you were talking about, Jen, with planned hours. So essentially you were trying to update the planned hours of all your templates based off of the average in your actual hours, right?
That's what I tried to do. Okay. That's what I actually presented to senior leaders. But I took like a year's worth of data and tried to come up with an average. And I have to tell you, it was all over the place because of a million different reasons, right? Risks and, things that you don't account for. So I want to explore the week because that feels a little bit more tangible than what we were trying to do. Because I'm afraid that even if I were to take an average based off of a line of business, I mean, it's really a shot in the dark, right? So that was the original thought.
Yeah, I would approach it because you already have some planned hours in there.
Yes.
So I wouldn't go because your data is a little wonky and all over the place. I wouldn't just go straight for what's the average. I would try to do it a little more like Olympic style where you drop the lowest and the highest and then look at that average, but then also compare it to your plan. So if your plan is saying that this task takes 5 hours over, 10 days, and your average, once you drop like your outliers, is saying that it takes 12 days and 20 hours, I might not just go straight to like changing it to 12 days, 20 hours, but I'm not going to keep it at the 10 days, 5 days. So I might do the 12 days and then change it from, I don't remember how many hours I said because I made these numbers up, but instead of it being like 5 and 20, I think is what I said, maybe I just up it to like 10 and see what that is. Because again, it's a plan. It's getting you closer. It doesn't have to be like your exact. Yeah, and Brittany, that's a great point as well. Like using some time buffers in there. I know a lot of folks, when they're kind of planning out work, they don't schedule people for a full 8 hours every day. I also don't recommend that. So you can kind of use some of those like buffers in there as well.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And then Raymond, I don't know if you wanted to ask a new question or add something else, but floor is yours.
Yeah, I kind of had a couple things that I was thinking of. I mean, I guess first one I'll talk about is it's kind of back to the good old boards. I feel like adoption and engagement is always a big thing, especially when you're trying to get brand new users in, right? Like you can have the greatest and latest tool, but it doesn't mean anything if people aren't actually using it, right, to its capabilities. So like, I don't know, I've used this in the past. I used the Kanban board a lot in the past. I don't know if any of you guys have done that. So like, it's just something maybe if you're trying to get feedback or run like a Kanban session or like a retrospective, essentially running a retrospective with, maybe your main stakeholders, or if you have, those project managers who are managing their projects and they're kind of like, champions of Workfront, they really see the capability, maybe encourage a couple of them to like try to run some retrospectives at the end of their projects, as a good feedback loop to help drive change and like iterations to like what you guys are doing in Workfront, or what, how templates are set up, or just to, get feedback from folks who are newer into Workfront, and to try to just like drive adoption and improve engagement. I found that that's worked really well for me in the past, running retrospectives. So, and I use the Kanban board option in boards and create something. So just a suggestion.
Yeah, I love that. Are you doing your retrospectives as Workfront issues on projects, or are you putting that info somewhere else?
Yeah, so it was mostly like, I did it a long time ago, like when we first kind of stood up Workfronts, and I was part of this pilot team, and we're trying to figure out a different way of working. And I was just using it as that, and we did it monthly. It was just retrospective, like, hey, how is this process that we're using? Like we would experiment using for projects that we would run, the predictive schedule, right, for project management. And then we're like, hey, like this is really rigid, things are constantly changing, we need something a little bit more agile. So then we'd switch to that board view, and then we would experiment using boards with the board view that you're showing when you're looking at the project. And then we're getting into things like, hey, now we're having like should we store all of our work in progress files in Workfront within the projects, or should we utilize SharePoint or connect to Box? So we get like feedback loop like that, especially with things that are changing within the organization. And we're using those retrospectives every month to highlight, hey, what's really working well in our process, what's not working so well, and what do we want to try next. And as an admin, I would take what we want to try next as action items for me to improve on before we did our next retro. And so that's how we were constantly trying to, it helped us iterate. And nice. People felt like they were heard. They were like, hey, yeah, no, this is great. You went back, you helped us solve it. If I need to pull in more like architects or like, have discussions about Fusion or something, then, I could take that away. But just more of an adoption and engagement thing, if you guys want to try that, to help with your day-to-day. The other thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know for you guys in your instance, if you guys have like the AI assist option in your Workfront. For me, it's not activated, unfortunately, in my instance with my organization. So something I've done, and you guys might be doing this already, like using Copilot, right? And like, hey, like how to, like some of the stuff we've talked about, like, hey, like with board, if I want to do the custom statuses or some reporting stuff, yeah, of course there's Experience League and there's a ton of stuff there too, right? But something I've done recently is I created like a custom prompt, and then I saved it in like my prompt gallery in Copilot. So that way I'm not having to constantly like create a prompt over and over. And just say, hey, like you're my Workfront guru, like, I want you to format it XYZ, ask me 2 follow-up questions. And if, just versus just periodically ad hoc asking questions, if you are utilizing, Gen AI tools, creating some prompts that you can use over and over, and you can customize like, hey, it's going to be specific for reporting troubleshooting, or it's going to be specific for adoption and engagement and things to try. And it'll search like Experience League and like everywhere to give you information. So those are the 2 things I wanted to throw in there. Hopefully it's helpful.
No, that's super helpful. My company is very specific, on what AI tools we can use. And one of the things that we have is like a homegrown thing that they have created. So I'm not able to make a chat agent, but I am able to do similar to like you said of asking certain Workfront questions. I typically use it for text mode. I know Craig had to leave, but he's someone else that I've talked to about, doing the same thing of like being able to ask a chat agent of just, especially if you get like the blank screen and you're like, why didn't this work? And then, it's like, oh, it should be a period instead of a colon, right? Like that's going to answer a lot faster than, Community is usually pretty fast, but that's going to answer a lot faster than Community can dive in. So highly recommend that method as well. And then also to what Allison said, as it stands right now, the AI assistant, you're not really missing much. So those types of things that you're trying to do and are doing in Copilot, or if any of you are using any of the other ones, are not available in AI assistant. Not to say that it's never going to come. I know that team is working very diligently on various things with AI and only getting better. But as of today, the AI assistant is very bare bones. And I think it still can only show you like the first 20 things. So if you say like, hey, how many projects do I have open, or like what task are due today? It's only going to give you the first 20. So at the moment, anything you're doing with like a Copilot or anything like that is going to serve you a little bit better.
Got it. No, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw someone in the chat said they're using the planning, or they're doing I guess they used it for the Adobe planning trial.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. My coworker, Zach, he said, hey, we just got AI. I did my workspace like this. And I said, oh, so we went in there. That's right before our Adobe folks were like, don't use AI because we're not approved yet, because they were going through their process, But Zach snuck in and goes, hey, we gotta. So he said, load this. I load my our new department strategy deck and our new department's like here's who's going to be doing what deck. And so I loaded it in there, and then it would ask me other questions. Do you want it this way, or do you want it that way? Are you looking at this, or are you looking at that? So I answered those questions, and it kicked out the whole planning workspace. I said, this is great, but I still have to load all the other stuff in there, which is fine. The taxonomy items. So before I could start having it, before I could attach it to my Workfront stuff that's already existing. So, but I loved it for that. And I didn't poke around into our Workfront AI yet. So I'm going to do that next. I was going to mainly do that to summarize our updates, because we have a lot of updates. So I was going to use it to summarize those. And then, but I'm going to poke around. So by the next time we have our next meeting, a get together, I'll have some feedback for you.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. I'm checking the chat. Lindsay, did you think of, or do you have a thing that you want to workshop with us?
I can't remember what I submitted with registration. There's no way for you guys to look back and see what I put in my form.
Yeah, I did look back, but I never asked, what do you want to share? So it was just, yes, please help me in your email.
Oh, it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It's been a time, guys. My brain.
I feel your pain. It's been a quarter.
It didn't. I swear to God, it asked to provide a little summary.
No, but I mean, I wish I would have did that. Next time I do what I do, I absolutely will. But if it jogs your memory at all, you submitted it on the 19th.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, I was trying to look in like OneNote to see if I wrote it down somewhere.
But yeah, while you noodle on that, I did look in the chat. It doesn't look like anybody else has brought anything up, but we definitely have time for at least one more person that we can help. So if anybody else has something they want to crowdsource, share, ask, the floor is yours. And if you're unable to unmute for whatever reason, you can always put it in the chat and I will read it out loud for you. And while we're doing that, one of the things that I have just been working on, because I think last time, so earlier this month, we had our co-WUG with Boston, where we were talking about workload balancer and just like kind of setting your projects up for good project management. But before that, when we were talking about reporting, one of the things that I mentioned was kind of doing an overhaul with my instance. I can give y'all a little update on that of just how things are going. And I am currently playing around with the external lookup field. So I've heard mixed reviews on whether to go this route or not. So always interested if any of you have used external lookup fields, if you love them, like them, hate them, avoid them with a passion. Let me know. But so the pros, and for anyone who doesn't know about the external lookup fields, these are new custom form field options where you essentially, before you would have to make either a very, very long list of all of the options that are available and just have people kind of scroll through, or you could set up several like smaller fields that were all based on logic. So for example, if we were doing, I'll just use state, Maryland. So you have like your drop down of all the states in the US, and then you would say like Maryland, and then it'd be like, okay, what city? And then it would list out major cities, Sykesville, Baltimore, White Marsh, whatever. Right? And that's another list. And you could click on that, and then it's like county, or things like that you kind of just keep drilling down into. Whereas you could have one giant list of just every single county in the entire United States. So as you can imagine, that's a very just gnarly list to work with. So Workfront has come up with external lookup fields where essentially you could build that logic, but instead of it being in the field, it kind of lives on like a task or issue area. But as someone is clicking down, they would only see those little segments based off of the other things that they had selected. So in theory, it was like, this is exactly what I need. This is what I've been looking for the past decade as I've been building out forms. But then, of course, I talked to some of my Fusion gurus, and Olia, I don't know if you've used it or anyone else that I see that is also Fusion heavy, but they have said that trying to use external lookup fields in Fusion has been not quite a nightmare, but the API does not mesh well. So always open to ideas on that. Olia, go ahead.
Yeah, as you call my name, I'm happy to share my use case that I love to do. And people mentioned on the chat that there is the opportunity to have a trial with planning. So I love to set taxonomy in planning, and it allows you to then map those custom fields with external lookup referent planning. It's easier than trying to do like some external source and API and all that. It's still challenging because you need to know the idea of the planning fields. You still need Fusion to identify that, or at least to inspect the page and use some developer tool to get this ID. But if you were able to get this, again, and Fusion is just one module to call out record type, and you will be able to see all this ID. But it's a beautiful result, because what does mean? This means if you're really talking about source of truth, you can set up your taxonomy, let's say region, or like channels or target audience or anything that you use, or even goals, strategic goals that you like updating, let's say annually, right? You can put them on planning. It's nice, beautiful access for people to see. You can set up external lookup in your traditional custom form and refer those fields, right? So anytime that you would like to change, you're not long going to go into custom form drop down and change a drop down, especially if you integrate in more than one system. We're right now talking like from planning to Workfront, but if you have Salesforce, if you have some other, like even IAM assets and other system, right? You always can see, okay, what those drop downs values are and how they can be in my Workfront. So in this case, I love external lookup field. That's beautiful. Even though if you might want to say, okay, you don't have planning or you don't have trial or you don't want to kind of like go with this planning, you still can do it in Workfront, because even though if you will not use like, let's say, external source to set up those API and everything else, you can use project in Workfront as a holder for all your kind of task will be representation of your drop-down values, and you know the project ID, so it will be easy to set up, basically, if you even don't know API and all that like technical stuff from the project, and do the same way. So before we had planning, we were having those projects set up in Workfront that like characterize this taxonomy, basically representing this taxonomy and used in custom forms. So there is a lot of use cases really worth to explore that. And thank you, Monique, for calling this out. That's a great way to work with taxonomies.
Yeah. And I forget who it was. I think Brittany, you mentioned in the chat that it's something you want to learn. So as I learn more, I will definitely share what I've learned in community. And Raymond, I see that your hand is raised, but we do only have 4 minutes left. So I don't know if you want to share it or if you want to hold it, but
it's just really quick, just because I came across it for external lookup. I didn't set up our external lookup like that I had on one of our custom forms, but just something I came across was if you are used to using custom form fields and setting up display logic, display logic does not work with external lookup fields.
Right. Okay.
It does, I guess, according to Copilot, you can solve this by creating like calculated fields, but if you have a bunch of external lookup fields, you're going to have to create multiple calculated fields. So just something to keep in mind if you like using display logic. I just came across that yesterday.
No, that's a great pitfall to highlight. So I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's not fun.
I definitely appreciate that, because that is something I would also run into as I'm going down this journey. But like I said, we are pretty much at time. So hopefully you guys love this and we can do more of these. But if you didn't, I got tough skin. I used to be a graphic designer. You can tell me. If you think of a problem or if you had one and we weren't able to solve it, post it on community. I personally will be looking out for anything that y'all post, as well as a lot of other community advisors. We are here for you. We are always available to help. And if you have not already joined the DMV WUG, be sure to join today so that the next time we have another one of these events, you are able to get that email invite and can join that way. There's also a ton of, Brittany, you're too kind. There are a ton of other WUG groups out there, not just myself, that are looking for co-leaders. So if you live in the Boston area or Chicago, Minnesota, or Utah, give Julie Wilson a shout. She will happily get you, vetted through and joining us in all of the fun. If you like these types of events, there are many more. Again, these slides will be posted in our event, so don't feel like you have to scribble it all down or anything like that. You'll get these. It'll be in the event. Just give the internet a little bit of time to upload it. But there are a ton of WUG events that's coming up, especially on May 5th. So if you love hanging out with me and hearing my voice, I will be sharing some real world advice in the Champions office hours. And that's May 5th. And there's also some other Adobe events, including Summit. So if any of you are coming to Summit, give me a shout so that we can link up in person and maybe have a short little in-person WUG. But with that, thank you all. Look at that. We are right on time. So I will definitely keep an eye out for you, Brenna. Thank you all for everyone that either shared your ideas, shared your problems, helped us brainstorm. Super excited about everything else. And yes, Julie, there is also a after party for Summit on May 12th. So keep an eye out for that as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.